Hello, my friend, and welcome back to the Grounded Sleep Podcast. And tonight we have a special episode. As we fall asleep, I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite scientists of all time, Albert Einstein. And we're going to go through his life, some cool insights that he had into physics, his early life, and then his later life. And as we get inspired by his genius and his playfulness, we're going to have a nice, deep, restful sleep. So when you're ready, go ahead and find a comfortable place in your bed. Make sure the lights are off and it's quiet. And you can start to let go of the day as your eyes close. And let your body begin to feel heavy and soft. And let it just start to melt and relax into your bed. So much of the technology we have today is because of the ideas of Albert Einstein that began with nothing more than him scribbling on a piece of paper. But before we get to all of those insights, let's start with his early life. And as you listen, just let your breath slow down. Let your body relax and just be here with me. And feel free to drift away and let me bore you to sleep at any point. So Albert was born in 1879 in Germany. When he was a kid, apparently he didn't speak until he was 3, and he was quiet and very curious. His parents noticed that he had a love for what they called quiet contemplation, moments where he would gaze at objects or ponder simple wonders, like the way the compass needle always seemed to point north. And his father gave him a compass when he was a boy, and that was his first glimpse into the, let's say, invisible mysteries of nature. And he would wonder how something unseen, like a force, could pull a needle in one direction. So he had this curiosity from very early on. And he also loved music. He played the violin. He loved mathematics and using his imagination. At school, he was often restless, feeling constrained by the normal forms of learning and memorization. And in one of Einstein's earliest thought experiments, even as a teenager, he would imagine riding alongside a beam of light. And he would contemplate what he would see as he traveled on this beam of light. Would the light appear frozen? Would it still move? And this question, which seemed so simple, would lead him years later to begin to unravel the mysteries of space and time. In 1905, Einstein was a young man working as a clerk in a patent office in Switzerland. And because the job wasn't too difficult, it gave him a lot of time to think and to dream. And 1905 was known as his miracle year. Einstein published 4 groundbreaking papers, including one that introduced special relativity. And special relativity told us something extraordinary: that time is not fixed, but relative. So if you can imagine 2 clocks, one sitting still and the other moving very, very fast. To someone observing, the moving clock appears to tick slower than the still clock. Einstein realized that time can stretch and contract depending on speed. And what was even more remarkable was his insight about light, that nothing in the universe can travel faster than light. Not you, not me, not even time itself. Einstein realized that light moves at a constant speed, no matter how fast you travel toward it or away from it. And this discovery led to perhaps Einstein's most famous equation, which is incredibly simple yet profound: E equals mc squared. And this equation says that energy and mass are different forms of the same thing, that they're interchangeable, bound together by the speed of light squared. And in this simple equation lies the secret that all matter contains enormous energy. As I'm sharing these stories and insights, make sure you're breathing nice and slowly. Just relax with me and let yourself gently let go into the night and into sleep. Years later, Einstein's dreams of light and time went even further. He began to ask, what is gravity and how does it work? And the answer came in the form of another beautiful insight, that space and time are not separate. They're woven together into what Einstein called spacetime, like an invisible, flexible fabric that stretches across the universe. Einstein showed that gravity is not simply a force, but the warping of space-time itself. Imagine placing a heavy ball on a stretched out sheet. The ball sinks into the fabric, creating a curve. Now, if you roll smaller balls nearby, they spiral towards the heavy one, as though being pulled by a force, but they're simply following the curve in the fabric. And so it's the same with planets, stars, and galaxies. Massive objects bend and stretch space-time creating curves that other objects move along. This is what Einstein's general theory of relativity was. And it was a breathtakingly simple idea that changed how we see the universe. One of the coolest parts was that Einstein even predicted that light itself would bend as it passed by massive objects like stars. Years later, astronomers observed this bending during an eclipse, proving Einstein right and making him a global icon. And let's explore a bit how Einstein saw the world. For him, the universe wasn't just equations and calculations and math. It was alive with wonder. It was filled with beauty. He saw the universe as a grand, interconnected whole, almost like music vibrating with harmony. He even once said the most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It's the source of all true art and science. And as you fall asleep tonight, let yourself go into that mystery. Let your energy start to relax even deeper as the mystery of the night takes you. So despite Einstein's fame, he remained a humble and deeply curious person. He loved taking long walks, simple meals, and listening to music. And he often spoke of imagination as being more important than knowledge itself, because it was imagination that allowed him to see what was yet unseen. There's a story I love about Einstein, where he went to visit Edwin Hubble, who discovered that the universe was expanding. And while Einstein's wife and Hubble were having a conversation, and Hubble was showing off his telescopes and discoveries, his wife said something to the effect of, "My husband figures these things out on the back of an envelope." And he was legendary for having nothing more than a pencil and a scrap piece of paper, and he would just sketch things out. Everything starting from his imagination. There's a story that Walter Isaacson tells in his biography about Einstein. When he was a professor at Princeton University in New Jersey, he would often forget how to get home. He would forget where his house was. And so there was a time he called the university and he said, "Excuse me, can you tell me where Dr. Einstein lives?" And the administrator said, "No, I can't give away his address." And he said, "But this is Dr. Einstein. I can't remember where I live." And so they found this young girl who was a neighbor of Einstein's, and she would walk him home from the university. And there's so many stories of this beautiful, creative, playful innocence of Einstein. And even when you look at his hair, this white, grayish hair just pointing up into the stars, he had this cosmic nature about him. And you also have a cosmic nature about you. Perhaps it's untapped or not validated, but it's there. And tonight, as you fall asleep, as you let go of the day, maybe in your dreams, you'll ride a beam of light. You'll explore the universe. Maybe you'll have an experience beyond space and time. So let's go a bit deeper into some of Einstein's discoveries and his life. In 1921, he won the Nobel Prize in physics, but it wasn't for his equation E equals mc squared, but for his work on something both pretty magical and practical, called the photoelectric effect. So at the time, scientists struggled to understand how light could knock electrons off the surface of certain metals. Einstein proposed that light is not just a wave, as many people believe, but also made of tiny particles, quanta of energy called photons. These photons carry energy, and when they hit the surface of metal, they release electrons like tiny sparks. This discovery laid the foundation for quantum physics, the science of the smallest particles, and helped explain how light interacts with matter. Today, the photoelectric effect powers technologies like solar panels and helps us harness light to generate energy. After Einstein earned his Nobel Prize, he continued his life as both a scientist and a thinker, and he spent years teaching at universities across Europe, particularly in Switzerland and Berlin, where he worked as a professor and surrounded himself with physicists who were pushing the boundaries of knowledge. And even though Einstein was very famous, he never allowed himself to be consumed by it. At one point, he was even offered to become the president of Israel, and he turned it down. He much preferred long walks, quiet conversations, and time with his violin. He even once said, "I live my daydreams in music. I see my life in terms of music." And to finish this evening as you're drifting away, we could talk about Einstein's search for a unified theory, or we can call it, as he called it, the unified field theory. And he was looking for a theory that would elegantly explain all the forces of nature in one equation. He wanted to unite gravity, electromagnetism, and the strange forces revealed by quantum physics. He once was quoted as saying, "I want to know how God created this world. I'm not interested in this or that phenomenon. I want to know his thoughts. The rest are details." Einstein never found the unified theory during his life, but his work inspired generations of scientists to continue the search. And to this day, physicists are looking for a grand, elegant theory to bring everything together. And when Einstein moved to New Jersey to teach at Princeton, he mostly lived a quiet, humble life. His house was unassuming, and his days were spent thinking, teaching, and enjoying walks with friends or solving physics puzzles. And he became for that disheveled appearance that we all know, seen wearing baggy clothes, mismatched socks, and an old sweater. To Einstein, external appearances were unimportant. His focus was always inward, always working on his equations. And Einstein passed away in 1955 at the age of 76. But he left a path for so many other scientists, thinkers, and imaginations. And in Einstein's universe, where space bends, where time stretches, where light reveals the mystery of life, every star in the sky, every beam of light that stretches across the night sky reminds us of the work that he did and the doors that he opened for all of us. And so tonight, as you fall asleep, I will leave you with this quote. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. Never lose a holy curiosity. Albert Einstein. As you let yourself drift away into sleep, you have that seed of curiosity, the awe for the mystery inside you. Take that into your dreams and sleep well.